My man Vivek Ramaswamy goes into hostile lands regularly, and that includes those who are ardent Trump supporters and don't want to see anybody running against him. And that is exemplified here on the Candace Owens show with DC Drano, who is asking him some questions, is slightly strident with him at times, and this is not exactly friendly territory. And Vivek has the courage to go there. That is leadership. But what I want to show you is something that is commonly done in politics in order to sabotage people, in order to hypnotize the masses. And you state something that is true and you lose the context of it. So here we go.
And, the first thing that came across my mind is, why is this guy running against Trump as Trump is being indicted? And then I started to dig a little deeper on, Twitter, and I came across some passages from your book. And I don't know which book it is. It's one of the two, but it talks about January 6th, and it says, "It was a dark day for democracy. The loser of the last election refused to concede the race, claimed the election was stolen, raised hundreds of millions of dollars from loyal supporters, and is considering running for executive office." I'm referring, of course, to Donald Trump. Do you think that the 2020 election was fair? Do you think that Joe Biden got the most votes in American history, or do you think 2020 was rigged?
So I'll answer that. I think 2020 was rigged specifically by big tech, but I just want to say something at the outset, because this is the first time we're meeting, is that I've actually been a longtime fan and of your tweets particularly. And I understand that I did a little bit come out of nowhere, right? I was in the business world. I had no public footprint at all until 2020, and then really 2021 when I stepped down from my job as a CEO. So I invite the scrutiny.
I just want to pause it right here and point out how Vivek is pacing and leading in terms of developing rapport with DC Drano and telling him that he respects him before he takes him out. You might have noticed earlier that the moment that DC Drano made the utterance of the quote, that Vivek had a reaction, knowing exactly where he is going to go. But I just want to demonstrate the skill that Vivek has with interviews in terms of not only pausing to gain rapport, but also using this as a manner to maybe calm himself down, as I saw him do in the David Pakman interview when he started to get slightly heated, and then to continue on. But it's just good skill.
Some of it's bad faith, but then I take someone like you, and I understand your heart is actually in this for the country as opposed to some of the other trolls. And so that's why I'm engaging with this directly. So let me be really clear about something. I've written 3 books in the last 18 months. That passage has now been floating around Twitter. I'd encourage you to read the book, or at least even the chapter that came from. Those lines were tongue-in-cheek, in part because those were the opening words of the chapter. It was a dark day for democracy. The winner refused to concede the election, raised hundreds of millions of dollars. Those exact words. I'm referring to, of course, Stacey Abrams. That was literally the opening paragraph of that chapter. And it turned out that those words were literally borrowed from a description of somebody else criticizing Donald Trump that I then cut and pasted. So look, I have detailed messaging on all of this, but you read that chapter and you read that book, it's easy for someone to airlift something out of Nation of Victims without reading the whole book. It was literally a satirical chapter that started with those words that someone had used against Donald Trump, with Stacey Abrams as the punchline.
So that's exactly what the politicos do. They take, for example, Donald Trump's fine people on both sides quote and remove all the surrounding context of it and try to frame him as somebody who supports neo-Nazis and white nationalists, even though he immediately stated it.
And you had people, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
They leave that part out. The same thing that they're doing to Donald Trump in terms of the fact that in the indictment, the prosecutor conveniently left out the fact that Trump stated,
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
They leave that out because it dissolves the framing that they are trying to present to you, the people that they are trying to convince to vote in a different direction, that they're trying to influence. And Vivek is just pointing out that it happens on both sides of the equation. Those who want to destroy Vivek are doing the exact same thing. They are airlifting a specific quotation that he, in fact, did say, but completely removing the context. And this is really the essence of what I despise about politics and how dishonest it is. And they can say, no, Vivek wrote that. Donald Trump used those words, but it's not the reality. It's like me saying to a buddy, man, I'm going to kill you after they throw a surprise birthday party for me or something like that. I don't mean that. I'm incredibly grateful. But then you can say, hey, you know, Rich said that he was going to kill his buddy Ryan. That is not representative of the facts. And I just want everybody out there to be aware of this and that we don't do this in our own lives, and know that there are certain entities that are going to do this on a regular basis, like CNN, MSNBC, and apparently those who are opposing Vivek in this case.
And here's the thing about the books I've written. I wasn't writing them with any intention of running for president, right? And so otherwise you'd read them and can this be misquoted? No, these are, if I may say so myself, I would say intellectual books. These are not candidate books, okay? These are books that were written in part of a career, 3 books in 20 months. Saying we may still have our disagreements, but I'd love to have those disagreements with the full context of what I've said rather than airlifting passages. I'm not accusing you of doing that, but that's what I've seen circulating a lot. And let's have real disagreements instead of fake ones. That's all I would say.
So Vivek, I'm just going to jump in here because I did not know, obviously, what you were going to say as an answer to that. And guilty as charged. When I saw the things being passed around, I actually thought maybe he actually did say this. And I will completely own the fact that I did not read it and I cannot defend. I cannot further offend it because obviously what you're saying in defense makes sense that it was airlifted. Rogan, did you actually read the full chapter either, or did you also see what was circulating? Okay. So what's funny about that as a Trump supporter?
It's not my main point, right? Yeah. So let me preface by saying I respect Vivek for coming on and having this discussion, knowing that I'm a very vocal critic.
What I love about intellectually honest people like Candace Owens is the fact that she fully admits that she did not understand the context, and she basically apologizes for how she originally interpreted the quote because she lacked the context. But again, that is done completely intentionally by those who want to influence you into hating something. And so that's why it's so important to understand the full story behind it, and why it's so awesome that Vivek, even in right-wing circles, goes into hostile territory, which is exactly what DC Drano said at the end. It's not my only critique of you. That's fine. And courage to Vivek. And my question for you guys is, who would you rather have leaving the country? Vivek or snake oil salesman who has utterly destroyed California, Gavin Newsom, or stupid ass Joe Biden that can't even complete a sentence that's completely senile, that I said before the election of 2020 that he clearly had dementia, and people mocked me for that. But that's beside the point. The point is, who do you want leading you into the future? And for me, that is so clearly Vivek, who states things so eloquently, succinctly, and is brave and goes again. I just am so amazed by it in today's politics into hostile circles. It's so easy to look smart when people are giving you softball questions like MSNBC does to Gavin Newsom. It's so easy. And I admire Vivek for this ability. And I hope that you guys do too. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hopefully you guys got something out of it. Thumb up the video, subscribe, and have a fantastic day. Peace.